welcome to The Vibrant Couple. Today I have invited again my friend and colleague Laurel Jeffrey, who is a couples and sex therapist and who is getting certified in imago therapy. So of course, Laurel and I have lots of conversation about what imago is, what is different from other therapies and modes of counseling. And one key piece, which is key to my heart, is about creating conscious couples. So I trust you meet him or her or them, whatever their pronoun is, and you fall madly in love and they are the one forever. And then after a while, you start to notice differences. You start to get annoyed a little bit and then more and more. And then you get really upset and you start to give up. And, I thought they were the one, but they are not. Let me go back to dating. This is not worth it. So, is that the whole cycle or is it just a part of the cycle?
Yes, I think you got it right, Valdo. Like most of us grow up believing that we will find the right person, and when we do, the relationship's going to feel easy, right? I was led to believe that. And I think when it doesn't, we think there's something wrong, maybe with us or with our partners or with a
No,
relationship.
with you, not me,
Oh,
you.
yeah. Right, that's right. But what I love about Imago is that it actually offers this different perspective. So it doesn't say that it's wrong. It says we don't fall in love by accident. We're drawn to somebody who feels familiar, who reflects both those positive and the painful parts of our early relationships. And we do that, when we do that, we're actually given an opportunity to actually have what we think of as a conscious relationship. And so the relationship actually has a purpose. The purpose is to heal some of those unmet needs, some of those traumas that we had from our
I
childhood.
don't I don't understand. The relationship was supposed to nurture me and be comfortable.
Well,
Okay.
yes, and right,
S-
and there's a healing piece of it, and why not?
So so I'm supposed to put some work in my
Yeah,
relationships?
yeah, just a little,
Hmm, just a little.
yeah, yeah.
So that first phase of,
Mm,
drug-induced of falling in love
mm,
happens to everybody.
yeah,
And I
yeah,
think there is no way to stop that,
no,
but there is a
no.
way to just be aware of it.
Yeah, and it lasts about 18 months is what we know. And we call that that's the romantic phase of the relationship, which is great. Feels good, right? It's got all those really great chemicals, the NRE chemicals going around our body. Fabulous. And then it
So
ends.
for the ones of you who don't know, NRM is New Relationship Energy,
Thank
and
you.
that name has been coined intentionally for people who have, love and sex
Yeah,
addictions and who
yeah,
basically keep
yeah,
going from high to high to high.
yeah, yeah,
And you and I believe that it's important to go through that phase. And so,
yeah,
how do you
yeah.
call that phase when the chemicals to drop off,
Mm,
basically,
mm,
when we are no longer so
mm,
high that our
mm,
partner is the one
mm,
and only?
That's the power struggle. And it feels like a struggle, right? You're in it and you're like, ever there's conflict after conflict after conflict. That is such an opportunity, if you can look at it that way, to really heal and to really, if you're paying attention and if you're beginning to get conscious. Now, you're not quite there yet, but you're beginning to get that conscious mindset, that conscious part of the relationship cycle.
So some people give up and say, I'm going to
Yeah,
find a new NRE.
yeah,
Some
yeah,
people say, no, we
yeah,
are committed, we
yeah,
go through. So
yeah.
what is possible after that?
We start to come into the conscious relationship. And the first part of that is recommitment. That's a conscious choice to really grow instead of giving up, like I was just talking about. And then we get into awakening, and awakening is beautiful because we start to get this new understanding and new energy. And then we finally get into the conscious love, which is really that mature kind of connection where you're feeling safe, you're feeling grounded, you're feeling cared for. Feels good.
So let me simplify because I'm intentionally not a therapist and
Hmm.
most listeners are not. And so that first phase of recommitment, is it basically you are worth more to me than just ending it here? I
Yeah,
want to work on our
yeah,
relationship. Yeah,
Yeah,
okay.
right, right.
And then the phase of
Yeah.
awakening is that basically becoming curious about each other. So
Mm-hmm.
when I say that, what happens? When I say
Mm-hmm.
that, what happens? Yesterday, you and I got a clash when I
Mm-hmm.
spoke with my mother. What happened?
Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely, right. Just being kind of intentional also. Like, and you're going to give some energy to like, oh, we want to know what's going on. We are not afraid to go to that place. I mean, we might be afraid, but we're going to do it anyway.
So what is conscious love?
Well, I'm actually going to start with what's unconscious love first, because we can really identify with unconscious, most of us. So we're going to criticize, we're going to defend, we're going to act really automatically, right? It's that reptilian brain is going to just come in. And we try to change our partners. I see this all the time. If only they would change, right? We withdraw, we fight about the same things over and over again. So really unconscious relationships are characterized by these automatic reactive patterns, unspoken expectations, right? Codependency, avoiding difficult conversations, prioritizing, comfort over growth, which is not what we want.
Yeah.
So let's talk about that, right? So there's a lot of that. So a lot of us can identify with that. But what's a conscious relationship, right? And that would be the thing that we talk about, which is really slowing down. And we start to ask questions more. We start to become really curious about what's going on. And in this phase, we're really intentional with our responses. We want to have some clear communication and some really excellent agreements. And we're being emotionally responsible for our own feelings. And that's part of the dialogue, right, that we use. We're really bringing our own feelings in. We're
So
prioritizing. Yeah, yeah.
So I could still get upset, but if you and I were a couple, and listeners, we are friends only, and but if I were to get upset, that's the difference between
Yeah.
you piss me off, or
Mhm.
I'm feeling
Mhm.
upset right now.
Right. Right.
Would you be willing to have a conversation with me about it?
Yes. Exactly. Right. Right. Right.
So that's the
Yeah. Yeah.
slowing down.
The slowing
Okay.
down. Yeah. We move from blame, shame to curiosity. We go from like, I got to win to I want to understand, seek first to understand, then to be understood is what I always say. Yeah. Yeah. So, and then,
Wonderful. So
and,
basically,
mhm.
we create safety with each other. We create a place where we both nurture the couple
Yes. Yes.
intentionally.
Yes. Yes. Yeah. 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 Absolutely. And then there's a connection to sexual intimacy. So from this place is where we can actually really begin to get that sexual intimacy that we're really longing for. Because we know that sex is deeply connected to, like you were just saying, emotional safety. And when there's unresolved hurt or criticism, um, usually the desire begins to really wane.
In our culture, we too often believe that
Mm-hmm.
this is women who need safety and who are going
Mm-hmm.
to slow the process down and want less sex. Men also need safety because
Mm-hmm.
many men, after being rejected a few
Yeah.
times, sometimes even once,
Mm-hmm.
basically don't offer,
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm.
don't instigate sex anymore.
Mm-hmm.
So safety is
Mm-hmm.
important for both.
Oh yes, absolutely. I would absolutely 100% agree. Right.
So what I'm hearing is that conscious couples become able to have access to conscious intimacy and sexual intimacy, which is way more powerful than
Yeah.
whatever is possible before. It may happen by accident, but it is very rare that it happens
Mm-hmm.
by design.
Exactly. Yeah. Yeah, and I think conscious couples learn to repair emotional ruptures, and often that repair then opens the door for physical connection to return back again. If they've maybe had some disconnection. So,
And so, are you talking about makeup sex here?
so that is fun, and uh, I guess in some ways, perhaps, but it's really more than that, right? It's that feeling of like safety, and we don't want to fight to make up and to have sex. We want to actually
What?
maybe, yeah. Sorry, Raldo.
not a good relationship model.
Not a good relationship model.
Yep.
Yeah,
So
yeah,
I
yeah.
intentionally prompted you with the makeup sex. Once in a while can
Mm-hmm.
be a lot of fun, but
It can
typically
be.
it's much better to do that from a place of
Yeah,
safety and
yeah,
curiosity and reopening
yeah,
to each other and
yeah,
becoming
yeah.
intimate with each other. And then there may be
Absolutely.
touch, there may be kissing, there may
Mm-hmm.
be
That's right.
sex, but
Yeah,
not necessarily. The
yeah.
idea is getting back into intimacy towards each other.
Exactly. Right, right. Yeah, creating
Okay.
safety by removing all that criticism and contempt and then listening to understand, validating your partner's experience, developing empathy, which is one of the parts, validation and empathy in the dialogue that we did a video for previously. So, yeah, being seen, being accepted.
So if we come back to the cycle and the
Hmm.
first phase
Hmm.
of falling in love, which is
Yeah.
highly drug induced,
Yes.
would it be
Yes.
fair to say that these drugs create a sense of safety with each other?
Thought about it that way, but I think it's a false sense of safety, but I do
Of
think it's
course.
probably,
Yeah,
yeah.
it's drugs.
It definitely is. You feel like you've met your person, right? I found the one. This is it. This is it. And this time it's going to work. This time I'm going to get it right. You know?
Yeah.
Yeah.
And last 60, 70 years have been different. But if you look at all
Mm,
human history before,
yeah.
during that 18 months, there is one
Mm-hmm.
offspring. And so
Mm-hmm.
that bonds the couple,
Oh, yeah.
and they
That's right.
somehow have
That's
some
right.
obligation towards each other. Modern
Yeah.
times are different, but we have
Right.
that.
Right.
Yeah.
That's very true. That's very true.
So thank you for taking the time to show us that cycle and explain it.
Mm-hmm.
Is there one of these transitions that is particularly talking to you right now, in which you want to share some wisdom, something that is
Mm-hmm.
juicy in you that you are learning?
Mm-hmm. So when, two people really make that commitment to choose each other again and again, right? Because we almost do that on a daily basis. We actually recommit in some ways every day to continue this process of creating safety and understanding and connection. And when that happens, I think the conflict actually becomes a path rather than a threat. So I think we see the conflict as a threat, but what we know in Imago is conflict is growth trying to happen. That's our term. That's what we say, and it's very, very true. Um, so yeah.
I love it. So, how about couples who have become good roommates,
Mm,
maybe some
mhm,
benefits, but who don't fight
mhm,
anymore and who are proud
mhm.
of not fighting?
Yeah, I hear that.
Is that a conscious couple or is it something else?
I would, if they're sweeping it under the rug, if they're still having those minor annoyances, like I see all the time, but they just don't want to go there because it feels good right now, right? We're enjoying each other right now, but it's still there. I was saying to a couple yesterday, they put it in the back seat, but that passenger is still in the back seat. It hasn't gone anywhere. So I would say that
Mhm.
that's not conscious. I would say that that is actually just, avoiding, and we don't want to be avoiding, right?
So, is there a way we could coin a couple of words together, like spiritual bypassing, where people say, "No, I'm beyond, I'm above that conflict." And so, is there a way we could do that? It's
Hmm.
because it feels more like bypassing
Mhm. Mhm.
than
Mhm.
going through the
Mhm.
fire.
Right, right. And feelings, I would say feelings are like a tunnel. You have to get through them to get to the light at the end. So you have to
Yeah.
get through, you have to just go through them. And I think the safety piece helps you to feel like you're okay, like you're going to be able to, like your partner's got you. Like doesn't matter what happens. They're not going to leave. We're doing this together and we both have made sort of this contract to do it together in a different way.
Mhm. Wonderful. So
Yeah.
you and I have a very different way of working with couples. You tend
Mm.
to work more with two individuals, and I tend to work
Mhm.
more on the polarity. And so
Mm.
what I have observed, and I want to check it with you if you've
Mhm.
observed that as well, is safety of a conscious couple does not mean boring. We can have access to a lot more fire.
Oh,
Okay?
bring it on, bring it on. Now you're talking. Now you're talking. Let's talk fire.